So people are finally starting to catch on. And by people, I'm including the media in this as well, because you've got journalists like Gareth A. Davis, who by his own admission is a Tyson Fury fan, coming out admitting that if this fight between the Gypsy King and Alexander Usyk doesn't happen, you have to lay blame at the feet of Team Fury. Because by all accounts, Alexander Usyk and his team were happy with the money that they negotiated with the Saudis. They were happy to take their deal. Remember, there were two separate deals being negotiated. Usyk negotiating with the Saudis and Fury negotiating with the Saudis for their own individual deals. Why was Tyson Fury not happy with his deal? Was he asking for some absurd amount of money? Remember, when Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk were set to fight for a second time, and there was all this talk of Tyson Fury potentially fighting the winner, if it turned out to be Usyk, Fury said he wanted $500 million. Now, I'm not saying that that's what he was demanding behind the scenes in negotiations with the Saudis, but he apparently was asking for an amount that they weren't willing to pay. What amount was that? And as I've said in many videos recently, the crucial question is, was the amount Tyson Fury being offered by the Saudis less money than he would get fighting Usyk in the UK? Because if it wasn't less money, if it was the same or more, then there is absolutely no excuse for Tyson Fury turning down that Saudi deal. And the only way you could explain it is that Fury was pricing himself out. Fury didn't really want the Alexander Usyk fight. Fury sees Usyk as having a very good chance of beating him, and therefore he wants an insane amount of money to step up and take that risk. Imagine how frustrated Team Usyk must be when they agreed their deal with the Saudi. They were happy with what they were being offered, and I'm sure it was great money. But then Fury turns around and says, no, I'm not happy with the Saudi deal. That means that Usyk can't get that money he was offered by the Saudis either. So Team Usyk must be very frustrated by that. And to then hear, oh, we're taking the fight to London instead, and it's going to be far smaller purses, presumably for both. But Usyk is not even going to get 50-50. He's going to get whatever it is, 60-40. So we're shrinking his purse way down from what the Saudis were offering him. As a result of that, Usyk's team have started to become vocal the longer this negotiation process has dragged out. Alex Krasuk said certain things in interviews, and I think even Usyk's said a few things in a couple of interviews. They're now trying to use the public to pressure Tyson Fury into putting pen to paper, to stop messing around and actually sign this fight. But this just gives Team Fury an excuse to mess around even further and potentially get out of the fight altogether. Because now we've got Bob Arum coming out saying that Usyk's promoter should shut up. He says, I will not negotiate the Usyk Fury fight in the press. I've seen some people be diplomatic with regards to Fury and say that it's his team that are causing the issue, not Tyson Fury himself. Even Usyk's was affording Tyson Fury that generosity. But I say no. The buck stops with the fighter, at least with regards to fighters of this level commercially. If you're talking about up-and-coming fighters, prospects, and all that kind of thing, okay. But with regards to these cash cow fighters, like Fury, Joshua, to a lesser degree Wilder, no, the buck stops with the fighter. If the fighter really wants it, then he will instruct his team to accept whatever. He will instruct his team to make it happen and make concessions if necessary. Now, as I've said in previous videos, I can't tell you definitively that Tyson Fury doesn't want this fight and that he's trying to price himself out. But at the very least, what I can say is that Tyson Fury is extremely money hungry. Extremely. This is a guy who comes out with all this rhetoric saying that he doesn't fight for money, doesn't need money, doesn't care about money, does it for the fans, was talking about fighting Anthony Joshua for free at Wembley. That is all absolute rubbish. The opposite is the case. Tyson Fury is not all about the fans. He's all about himself. He's all about making as much money as possible. And he thinks nothing of deceiving the fans in order to get that bag. That's what Tyson Fury's like. And I've got no issue at all with fighters being all about the money. This is their career at the end of the day. This is their livelihood. And it's a dangerous profession. So of course, I'm more than happy when they get compensated to the max. But be honest about it. Like Derek Chisora's honest about it. He's been saying for years It's all about the money. Yes, he enjoys fighting, but first and foremost, Derek Chisora wants to be paid. Be honest about your intentions. And if you don't want to be honest about your intentions, then stay quiet about your intentions. But with Tyson Fury, he lies about his intentions. This is the issue I have with it. He lies about his intentions all the time, and his fans just lap it all up. They take it as gospel truth. It's incredible. So best case scenario, looking at Tyson Fury in this Usyk negotiation, he's just being very, very greedy. Worst case scenario, he doesn't actually want the fight at all. And if you offered him $1 billion, he wouldn't take it because he values that. Oh, not because he's scared of Alexander Usyk, but Tyson Fury has taken risks over the years. He's had some tough fights. He's maneuvered himself into a position where he is now a cash cow. And now that he's there, he's looking at the heavyweight landscape and he's saying, I don't want to fight all these guys. These guys are dangerous. They're hungry. Some of them are young fighters. You got a guy like Usyk, undisputed at cruiserweight, moves up to heavyweight, beats AJ twice. People think I'm better than him anyway. So what do I gain risking my O against Usyk? Yeah, there's a bit of a payday, but I'll get bigger paydays elsewhere in easier fights. So let me just swerve that one. Let Usyk go off and fight his mandatory. Somebody might end up beating him, or he might end up looking poor, lackluster in one of his defenses. Then I can jump up and say, look, Usyk was never that good anyway. You guys thought he could beat me? You're having a laugh. That might be the game that Tyson Fury's playing. I hope it isn't. I hope we get an announcement. Frank Warren's been talking about the announcement is imminent. Bob Arum's been saying the announcement is imminent. In fact, Frank Warren, several weeks ago, might have been a couple months ago, at least a month, he said that we need to get this fight signed within the next week or it may not happen. He said that about a month ago. And then within the past week, he's saying the same thing. Oh, we really need to get the fight over the line in the next week or it may not happen. Like, how long are you going to extend this for, Mr. Warren? And as people have pointed out, Tyson Fury didn't afford Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn this amount of time to negotiate for their proposed fight at the end of last year. However, what I will say to that is Tyson Fury ostensibly was looking to fight Usyk after that. So you can't leave too much time for negotiation for the AJ fight because then it pushes back the Usyk fight. In hindsight, it wouldn't have made much difference, would it? If they'd given AJ a bit more time to negotiate, because look at where we are now, approaching the end of February, and Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk has still not been signed. Think about it, people. Usyk, by all accounts, by all media reports, agreed his deal with the Saudis. Why didn't Tyson Fury agree his? Why is he stalling these negotiations? Is it just pure greed? Is he trying to price himself out because he doesn't fancy the fight? Does he have an injury that he doesn't want to tell anybody about, so he's trying to stall it so he can recover? At what point do people, and by people, I'm not talking about the Tyson Fury fanatics because they're incapable of being objective. You can't reason with them. I'm talking about the relatively neutral boxing fans out there who just think Tyson Fury is the best based upon what they've seen of him. At what stage do we stop giving him that crown? Stop saying he's the number one heavyweight in the world. Because by calling him number one, it removes incentive for him to fight Usyk. If you want to pressure Tyson Fury into taking the fight, as boxing fans, stop calling him number one. Leave it open-ended. Say we don't have a number one in the division because the two top guys haven't fought each other yet. Some people might even want to go a step further and start calling Usyk the number one, thinking that might antagonize Fury into fighting him. Whichever way you choose to go, Fury cannot be crowned. I know he likes to wear the crown and all that kind of thing. No, in reality, he hasn't fought Alexander Usyk, and until he does, we won't know who the best is in the division definitively. We won't know who the number one is, objectively speaking. So let's all, as boxing fans, collectively start putting pressure on the Gypsy King to take this fight. Put pen to paper. Never mind all the greed. Never mind all the splits. He's already a man with a lot of money, right? He claims to not only be the best heavyweight of this generation, but also the best heavyweight of all time. Don't extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof? The greatest heavyweights of all time, many of them, had over 20 world title fights under their belt and fought multiple Hall of Famers, cleaned out the division. Tyson Fury hasn't come close to doing any of that. So why are we allowing him to put himself in that bracket? Not only in the bracket, he says he's the best of all time, better than anyone who's ever boxed before in the heavyweight division. Well, yeah, you can say it, but you got to go and prove it. You got to have the resume to back it up. You got to have the longevity taking on all styles and all comers. That's what the greatest heavyweights of all time did. Why are we giving Tyson Fury a pass and saying, oh, he doesn't need to go that far. He doesn't need to go to that extent. Why not? He claims he's the best of all time. You have to hold him to that standard, surely. And part of that is insisting that he fights Alexander Usyk. So let's put it all together. Fury, first of all, demands $500 million to fight Usyk. He then claims that Usyk isn't in his era, and the only person left in his era is Anthony Joshua. There's no talk of Usyk Fury happening in late 2022. Usyk does a press conference with the media from his country, and they ask him when he's going to be out next. He says 2023 because he's going to have a rest over the festive period and spend time with family, and he's got a few niggles. Tyson Fury opportunistically all of a sudden jumps up and says, hey, I was going to fight you in December. Now you don't want it. Now you're saying you need to rest over Christmas. There was never any fight agreed for December, Mr. Fury. What are you talking about? Can't pull the wool over my eyes with that nonsense. Once Usyk is rested, he's like, okay, come, we'll fight. No later than March 3rd or March 4th, 2023. Let's do it. Tyson Fury's then like, oh, well, I had an injury going into the Chisora fight and it's going to need 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Then why take the Chisora fight in the first place? Are you people not seeing a pattern here? Anyway, bit of a rant. I'll leave it there. Sign the contract, Mr. Gypsy King. Sign the contract and give us the fight we want. Prove to us that you are who you claim to be. The greatest heavyweights in history set the bar very, very high. Very, very high in terms of achievements, resume, longevity. If you're saying you're above them, well, you need to put together a resume that is comparable to theirs. Simple. I'll leave it there. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.